Hello everyone and welcome to Blaugrana Everything, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a match review as we take a look back at FC Barcelona's 3-0 home win against Villarreal. Barcelona managing to bounce back from that terrible week that they just had, the defeat in El Clasico and the 3-0 draw against Inter Milan. So after two consecutive matches of conceding 3 goals, Barca went back to their clean sheet keeping ways, and that's good for Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Of course, that's also good for our defense. We saw some really good performances from two of our defenders today, in particular, who I think they can be proud of what they did out there. But at the end of the day, this was kind of the bare minimum. It's what you expected. Not so much that looking down on Villarreal, but it's Villarreal at home, and that's a match that you are expected to win one way or another. Maybe not overwhelmingly, but at least you should still be able to win such a match. And that's exactly what we did, and we saw Barcelona move 2 points closer to Real Madrid after, having fallen 5 points behind after Real Madrid's win on Wednesday night. Anywho, what I'm going to be doing here is taking you through the tactical setup from both teams, then I shall talk about my negatives and positives before giving you my man of the match. And honestly, this was one of the hardest ones to pick a man of the match because, like I said, there was some very good performances here, not just from defenders actually, but from quite a few players of ours. And ultimately, this is what we're hoping to see more of, because in as much as you want to see your attackers delivering with more goals here, of course we saw Robert Lewandowski score 2, but you also want to see other players, your midfielders and your defenders. You want to see the whole team playing well. Anywho, if this is your first time tuning in here, please do hit that subscribe button. We're chasing that 3K subscriber mark. I think we can get there, guys. We can get there with your support. Please do hit that subscribe button, and also hit like on this video. If you like it, just go ahead, hit like. I'll wait. Anywho, let's go and talk about our tactical setup. We saw quite a few changes here to FC Barcelona's starting 11. In fact, we saw a back four that had never played together before this season, and a front three that had never played together before this season, or rather never started the game together this season. Same for the midfield as well. We saw a midfield three that hasn't started a game together. So there was quite a lot of changes here. Busquets on the bench, Eric Garcia on the bench, Balde on the bench, Ousmane Dembele and Rafinha all on the bench. And we saw starts here for Marcos Alonso, Jordi Alba and Sergio Roberto, together with Jules Koundé at the back, for, like I said, that back four that hasn't played together before. And it was a wonderful performance, I should say, here from Jules Koundé in particular. He looked like a mini Araujo, to be quite honest. Of course, in midfield, we had Gavi, you had Pedri, you had Frenkie de Jong, the midfield three that Barca fans have been dying to see in action. So many X-rated dreams Barcelona fans have had about that midfield. And in front, of course, like I said, we had Ansu Fati, Robert Lewandowski, and Ferran Torres, who all played particularly well, especially in the first half when this game was put to bed. Villarreal, on the other hand, set up in a typical Unai Emery 4-4-2 formation, and I was actually surprised by one decision here that Unai Emery made, which was to keep Comandante on the bench. I mean, like, this dude routinely terrorizes FC Barcelona, okay? Him, Iñaki, and Iago Aspas, these are guys you do not want to leave on the bench for a match against FC Barcelona. That's exactly what Unai Emery did, and I thought that was a pretty weird decision. But anyway, like I said, 4-4-2 for Villarreal. They had Nicolas Jackson and Danjuma up top, and this was the rest of the team. Let's go on now and talk about my negatives and positives. And it's not going to be much here, actually, in the way of negatives. To be quite honest, I don't even have any negatives. There's nothing to complain about today. Like, the team basically just did a really good job, and there's not much to complain about here. Maybe the only thing I could say is that we need to learn to turn up against bigger teams as well. But then, like, how can I put that in here as negative? So we're moving on, and we are talking positives. And my first positive, like I said, were the performances that we saw today from the players. In particular, I want to single out Jules Koundé, Jordi Alba, Gavi, Frenkie de Jong, Pedri, and Fati, and Ferran, and Lewandowski. Like, you see what I mean? There was so many great performances here for FC Barcelona, and you know what? I am here for it. This is exactly what we needed to see from Barca. This is exactly what Barca haven't been doing lately, which is killing off chances. Because you see, usually, especially in the first half, FC Barcelona see a boatload of chances. And should they take those chances, they end up spanking teams by 3 or 4 or 5. When we don't, it's usually when we end up in trouble, meaning we'll probably just scrape through with like a 1-0 win, or we'll end up losing a game if not drawing it. So it was good to see the team take their chances here, which is definitely like the second positive, after player performances, taking chances. We had a limited number of chances in that first half because Villarreal were actually, up until the first goal, doing a good job of keeping us out of their box, I'll put it that way. Barca weren't getting any shots in the box. They finally did get one, and Lewandowski, after a beautiful turn, finishing expertly, and then of course doubling the lead. And it was just a case of, I would say that today the ball was bouncing more in our favor than it has recently, where the ball bounced off one of our players and like it bounced off Eric Garcia and into the path of Vinicius, or that kind of nonsense. Like, that wasn't happening here today. Actually, the ball was bouncing in our favor, and that was good to see, and we were able to take advantage of that. My third and final positive is that we were able to react. Like, we needed to win here today, okay? Not just because a loss puts us 5 points behind Madrid and the draw would have put us 4 points behind Real Madrid, but we needed to win simply because we needed to get rid of those bad vibes from the last 2 matches we played before this one, okay? The match against Inter, the match against Real Madrid, chock full of bad vibes. So we needed to get rid of all of that. We needed to get it off of our chest. We needed to get it out of our system and to get back into old habits of scoring goals. And one thing that I'm particularly happy that I saw today was the movement. The one thing that we've been lacking in these matches where we didn't get the results that we needed to get, it's been movement, dynamic movements from the forwards in particular. Like, of course, Lewandowski can only do so many movements, so it would rely more on the wingers and the interiors getting into those advanced positions. And we saw a lot more of that here today. So, yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to see that. Well, now that I am done with my negatives and positives, which were just really positives, I will move on and talk about the man of the match. And this one, like I said, guys, was a very, very hard decision. And ultimately, okay, I had a long list of players, and after hours and hours of thinking, I managed to narrow it down to a very small group of 4 players. Yeah, that's right. They're like 4 guys. I really couldn't pick who here, okay? And they were Robert Lewandowski, Pedri, Frenkie, and Jordi Alba. Yeah, that's right. Jordi Alba, he started here. Didn't expect him to, but he was brilliant. I just hope he doesn't start against Bilbao, because we might need Baldi's pace a bit more in that game. Yeah, I know. I'm so shameless. But yeah, these were the 4 players who I thought each deserved to be man of the match here in this encounter, to be quite honest, because they all did some very brilliant work. They did everything that you needed them to do. And it's just, you tell me how I'm supposed to pick, okay? So it's Lewandowski, it's Pedri, it's Frenkie, and it's Alba. And you can pick whichever one you think was the man of the match. For me, I am cool with any of them being man of the match. Anywho, that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. We have got Bilbao coming up on the weekend once again at Camp Nou. It's going to be on Sunday night, and hopefully we can keep this going. And I just have to say, like, shout out to the Camp Nou crowd, because like coming into this game, I was expecting a bit more of a toxic atmosphere, to be quite honest, after the week Barcelona had, after those disappointing performances against Inter and against Real Madrid, and instead, like, there was a lot of hype in the Camp Nou, right? There was a lot of good energy, and of course there was that moment where, like, you know, a bit of bad vibes with some fans booing Gerard Piqué and whatnot, but you know, we're glad that ultimately at the end there were other fans who started cheering Gerard Piqué's name and applauding him, because no matter how trash player is, no matter how much of a waste man he becomes, we do not want to see anybody being whistled or being booed in the Camp Nou if they're our player. Okay, we don't do that here. We're not Madridistas. Okay. Anywho, that's all I had, ladies and gentlemen. I hope to see you again here next time. But have a great day, and thank you for tuning in. Yes, thank you for tuning in, and Forza Barça.